Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee Corner. Today is your episode 131. Today's topic is going to involve confrontation, silence, and power of silence, etc. Some of the techniques I've used in a recent confrontation I had, and it really worked for me, so I want to share this with you. And before that, I do want to make it clear I don't have a script. Everything I talk about, mostly 99% of my content, is out of my own ideas spontaneously. I don't really plan anything, and I realize when I plan things, my videos don't normally go smoothly. So that's why. But if you do like to have a copy of a script, I highly recommend an AI tool. It's called Granola AI. They did not sponsor me. They should sponsor me because I really like it. It does live transcribing and auto summary. So if you are listening to my video, just turn it on and it will transcribe everything and it will summarize the whole content for you. So give it a try. Anyway, let's talk about confrontation. If you are like me, personality wise, if you're like me, you're an angry crier, which I had an episode talking about myself being an angry crier. I have the whole reason that I can fight back, but because I'm so angry, I start to cry. So that's me. And also, I don't like confrontations. I try my best to avoid any conflict, confrontation, or other frictions or arguments or spats. But again, you're in adult life. This is a real world. You do your best. You still will have some sort of confrontations there. I don't like it. I feel really uncomfortable when it happens to me. But over the course of so many years, I've learned sometimes you just have to be really tough and you have to be firm about yourself and confident about yourself and speak up for yourself as well. I was planning to do a video on a very different topic, but this thing happened just the last couple weeks before we finished our school. I can't really talk too much about my students because, this is a small world. Somebody might identify them. Anyway, I will try my best to give you as much detail as I can. So, a couple of students. The first one, I didn't know we had something that made him very uncomfortable or unhappy in my class. I always thought I was doing a really great job. I was being very supportive, and he came in class always bubbly and happy and very active in my class. From nowhere, he brought his mother to the office and reported he didn't like the class. He wanted to switch. Whole drama there. I really appreciate my lead when she took everything away from me at that moment, so I didn't have to face the whole yell or shouting. I said many times I really, appreciated what you've done, because if you didn't do that, I wouldn't be able to carry on and finish my class. And the second student called me racist. So that one actually bothered me the most at that moment. So after talk with my lead, I went home. I was really thinking I couldn't even eat or when I look at my son and when he asked me, "Mommy, you happy?" And then I right away started to cry. I said I couldn't do this. So I went up to my bedroom and I started to think like what I really want. This happened a couple of times. I've had troublesome students and I want them to be removed from my class. But again, even if you file a report, you did everything, and then your lead is just, let's just give them another try. That's fine. Some of the students I had, they were problematic in my class. They had behavior issues in my class, but at least they respected me as a teacher. This guy, I just could not stand him. So I spent a whole night writing this report, listing everything he did since he joined the class. I had a really solid grounds for removing him from my class. I really double checked, and then I was very happy. I sent this report to my lead, and I really apologized, saying that I'm very sorry to bring more to your plate at this moment because we're approaching the end of the year, but I could not work with him. Please considering removing him from my class. I'm not asking him to be moved to another class. I'm just simply saying that he needs to go. And I have really, calling me racist, I cannot stand it. You claim to like my class, you come to like the teacher, saying that the teacher is really good, I've learned a lot from her, but there's no respect, then I can't deal with that because I have to manage a whole big class. So anyway, I sent the email out, sent my report, and then second morning while I was just dropping off my son at daycare, I got a message from my lead, and she said, "Can you come in to see me when you have time?" Then I went to school and then went to her office, and then the first thing she said is, I have to say no to you. I right away couldn't believe it. And I just lost it that moment. I've already put up a lot throughout the year. And this is the fourth time I was asking you to support me. Not like I wasn't really being unreasonable. And I had, like, if you couldn't make a decision for me, you needed to bring this up to a supervisor or another level, that's fine. You go do and you go follow all your policy or procedures. What I need is someone has to solve the problem because I can't work with him. And then she just kept saying no, and she was giving me all sorts of reasons and I start to think that sometimes when people are at a certain level or position, you start to give them more layers. You start to give them more authority and power. You think they can control you. I do have that feeling the moment I felt like she was my boss, and then realized she was not that powerful, and realized that we were supposed to be colleagues and she is not my boss. And I started to really pay attention to what she said, explaining why she couldn't move the students to another class. In the past, what I would do would be arguing back. And then for every single thing she said there, I would just follow with my argument. And one thing I learned is be a listener in an argument. Be a listener in a confrontation. Let the other person vent out first. And listen carefully about what they say. And make mental notes and then think about what you're going to fight back. And this is one first technique I want to show you. It's called 5 Mississippi. This is used for driving, like how far you should keep your distance from the car in front of you. You count 5 Mississippi. So I gave myself 5 seconds or 5 Mississippi to think about, to react. That calms me down and then also gives me time to think what I could say properly instead of triggering her. So I would count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. While counting that in my head gave me time to listen to her carefully and also thinking about my own response to her statements. And she listed all sorts of reasons, and I said those reasons are not acceptable when you say no to me, because those are personal reasons, not solid reasons for me to follow policies to move this. And then she mentioned that she got an email from the supervisor saying that they cannot move students around for no reason. I said, I agree with you, but I have a reason here. I have a final report. And if you need to talk to the supervisor, I can wait. She has a similar personality. She was trying to really avoid all the hassle and confrontation, and she didn't want to bring this up to the supervisor because we've got 5 days left at that moment, and then she didn't want to do that. So she said, this and that, and then her tone was very dismissing to the point that there's no respect. And that's when I realized she probably thought, for many reasons, I don't know, this is just my assumption. First, I think she probably thinks I'm Chinese, I'm Asian. I'm supposed to be soft and obedient. I'm supposed to do what I'm told, and if they push hard, I would accept the reality. And the second, she didn't think I'm so capable coming in the office with the full preparation to fight back and fight for myself. And she wasn't really prepared to have a talk like that. And the third, I've said yes to her many times in similar situations, so she would be thinking the same, that I would say yes to this situation as well. Didn't expect I would be really firm about my answers, my response to every situation that happened in my class. So I think I came in with the full preparation and she did not. She just lost on it. She completely lost on it. I was so shocked. It's very, very unprofessional. I had to close the door for her. I could have gotten up and just left. And probably I would gotten to a worse relationship with her in the future because I still have to work with her. That's reality. At that moment, I could really think quick on my feet. And I closed the door. I sat there. I was very silent. I just watched her losing it. And she was yelling, she was banging the table, which everything she did was very unprofessional. If I wanted to escalate this situation, I could have brought this to the union and file a formal report against her. I did not. because I knew at that moment, as a very kind and nice person, that my goal is not to cause more problems. My goal is to solve this problem and see how she does in the future. If same thing or similar things happen again with her, between me and her, and I will file for my report. And we'll go from there. And that's my goal. But I was so proud of myself because I could think so clearly within a short time. And I responded very, very professionally. And then coming back home, I was really kind of thinking about what really happened, what I said, like self-reflection, a lot of moments, flashbacks. And I was thinking, there are numerous confrontations that happened in my life, and every single time I was in there, I would think, when I got home, when I was in bed, I start to think, I could have done this, I should have done this, I could have said that, I should have said that. A lot of regrets about I didn't do it really well, or I didn't say this, or I didn't do it. A lot of regrets. That's because at the moment you were so angry, you couldn't think clearly, and everything was out of impulse, and you just want to do it. You just want to fight back. You just want to win the argument. But then you forget, what is your ultimate goal? What do you really want when you have a conversation, when you have a confrontation with people like that? My case, that moment, I just only have one request. He needs to go. He needs to leave my class, and he should disappear in front of me every time he comes to school. And that's all I'm asking. His behaviors are intolerable. I just cannot accept him being in my class. I cannot even face him. I cannot even think of him just being in my class. And this is my request. I don't find it unreasonable. But if you are negotiating with someone who is unwilling to move him to another class or remove him out of my class, then you're going to have a little or major confrontation, depends on how you communicate. And my goal there, I was really, really carefully, because I like where I work and I like all my colleagues and I want to be here, and I might end up working with her again. So I cannot cause more problems other than the student problem. So what I was doing, I was carefully phrasing my words, carefully phrasing my ideas, thoughts. When I was talking to her, I was very humble and polite. I showed my appreciation, everything she did, everything. And even when she was really mad and I knew she didn't mean it, when you're angry, you don't pick your words, you just shout everything out, which you will regret right away. I'm sure she didn't mean it. She did it, and I could tell she felt really bad. So what I was thinking at that moment, I let her. This is your job. This is your responsibility. I know you're very stressed, and this is how you reacted to my request. There's nothing I can do. You feel unhappy. I feel uncomfortable in that moment. But your unhappiness, your stress, your anything is not my job. If you cannot manage it, the only thing I can do is to stay silent and be there and wait for your response to solve my problem. After she calmed down and I started my conversation again, I think she was really processing what really happened that moment. So I was telling her how much I appreciated what she did. But I didn't say, it is your job, you're supposed to do it. If I could win an argument over every single thing she said there, but it's going to be a huge explosion if I said that. So that's why I kept my words to myself. I said, well, I appreciate your effort. Da, da, da. I didn't mention that you were supposed to do it. This is your job. And I really appreciate it. Without you, I wouldn't be able to finish my class. And I also mentioned the problems I have here. I understand that you cannot say yes right away, but I simply just want you to follow the policies or steps and just tell me what's the next step. Then I can go with that, or you can go there with that. And then she was finally kind of calm, and then she said, I had a lot of stress and this and that. I was like, I understand. It's a tough year for everybody. And then she said, I can go ask my supervisor and see what she said, because I said, I totally understand. I might take a couple of days, no problem. And I was even ready to take a stress leave for that matter, if they can't solve the problem right away. But here's the thing, she could have done that in the very beginning. If you cannot give me yes, there must be a reason you don't want to give yes to me other than your personal reasons. You don't want to make other teachers unhappy. You don't want to do an extra work. You don't want to confront with the student. Those are personal reasons. That's your job. That's not my job. So how do you deal with that? You have to do it. And for me, if you ever have the same situations, you have to draw a fine line that what is your duty, what is your job, and what is their duty and job. They cannot push their stress pressure on you because they can't handle that. And that's when things kind of get crossed. You have to be very firm about what you want, and you have to be very clear what they should do and what you should do. So at that moment, we were very clear about I could not get a yes that moment, but she will go take this case to the supervisor and then wait for her. And I knew they would say yes. I knew they would say that they will remove. But then think back, I felt bad for her because she went through a lot. She probably didn't expect that when she texted me saying come in to see me in the morning. But the thing is, you could have said, I cannot give you what you want right now. Let's take it to the supervisor and have a talk with them. If they need to talk with you, would you be okay? And I would say yes, of course. And then we'll go through the whole case and then we'll decide if yes or no. Instead of giving me such a hard time and damage her reputation at school. Back to the beginning, what I really want to say is the power of silence. Sometimes when you're in an argument, doesn't matter if you're in an argument or confrontation with the close ones, loved ones, or acquaintances, or even strangers, what you can do is to make sure you protect yourself, you know what you want and what you don't want, and stay back. Sometimes it's not about a winning argument. So for example, if you are in a family party and celebration and everybody is here, your family members, everyone, they start to pick on you. And what you can do is actually, if you don't want, again, this is based on personality. My personality is to avoid a confrontation. What I would do is stay back, stay silent at that moment and let them finish their talk. And within that time, I can think what I could say reasonably, rationally, with solid details. If they ask you ridiculous questions and you have to give yourself time to ask back. And sometimes it works really well when they ask you questions, you don't give them response, you remain silent and you just look at them. Really look at them, wait for them, like say, what's next? What do you want to say? What's your point? I don't get it. Why do you mention this to me? So I think that's a really great way to take advantage of silence. And I do think it's very powerful. And actually, perfect example is think about if you're in a relationship for girls, for women, when you are so mad at certain things and you want to pick a fight with your boyfriend, and they're always quiet. They don't respond. They don't react. They don't do anything. I sometimes will feel defeated and sometimes feel even more angry because come on, I need to solve the problem, but you don't want to. But for them, that's their power. They think if I don't respond to you, I'm not going to escalate this situation at some point. So eventually you'll calm down and then maybe you'll forget about it. And that's their tactic to solve you, not solve the problem. And I said, next time I'll try the same thing on my husband and see if that works. Anyway, I was really interested in my own experience as I want to share this with you. Also, again, this might not work for everybody because, well, we are all very different. But my personality is I'm introverted. I'm scared shit of confrontation and I do not like any arguments and I don't even like saying no to people. But as a teacher that I often have so many problems that push me to say no a lot, push me to face the confrontation, to bring up a lot of controversial things or problems. And I've practiced a lot. So a lot of things, just like you learning English, You just have to practice. You have to take the first step and say the first no and be the first one to fight back for yourself. But overall, if you are at an environment, working environment, or your school or home, if you are mistreated and you feel you're mistreated, sometimes you should trust your intuition, trust your gut, and you have to speak up for yourself. And don't let people think you're a doormat, you're a pushover. They can do anything to you. They can dump anything to you. And then sometimes they do ask you to do unreasonable things which are not your duties. And you are a nice person. You don't want to kind of offend people, you don't want to make people unhappy, and you take it. The more you take it, the more you're going to get in the future, and the more ridiculous things you will see and you will face in the future. So to avoid the future consequences like that, you have to be very firm in the very beginning. But if it already happens, you can start with the next one. When next one happens to you, you do the same thing. You can say no. It's going to make you feel super uncomfortable. You might even cry, you might even have a very shaky voice or a cracky voice, but that's the first step you take, and it's really going to help you and save you. I think Asian people in another country do not have advantages, especially when it comes to work environment. People often portray us very nice, soft, obedient person, and then they think if they're nice to you and polite enough to you, and then they give you an unreasonable task, you will take it and you wouldn't say no. When you fight back, you can try it. If you fight back, and it doesn't matter if you're in another country or if you're kind of that soft person, try it, say no once. People will be very shocked because this is not how they see you. They see you as a different person. They see you that you take everything. And they can joke about you and you'll be okay with that because you don't take yourself seriously. I do think that I start to realize I wish I knew this a decade ago, and then I could be a very strong person back then, and I could avoid a lot of hassle back then. But again, it's never too late. If you realize that, try it, practice it, it will change your life. If you're in a dorm, and some of you are going to go to university soon, congratulations. And you're going to go to university, you're going to start your small social circle, and people are very different from very different backgrounds. And you might have different habits and different values, and you will have some frictions here or there. And how are you going to protect yourself and speak up for yourself is a very important thing to learn to practice. And also, if you're at work, if this is the first time you start this job, or you've been there for a very long time and you feel you're mistreated, or you've been mistreated for a very long time by your colleagues or by your boss, again, you have to think about, for roommates, you don't have to deal with them because you're going to move on soon. And you can even move out of your dorm or let them move out of the dorm. And that's a quick fix. For us who are at work, it is hard to just completely go blast because you still have to work with them. And this might be the ideal job for you. And maybe you make really good money here and you don't want to lose it. And you have to maintain a relationship with a certain people while still protect yourself. You don't want to put up their shit. Right? So what you do, again, is silence. Silence is your good friend. But silence at a good timing, not like when you dump things to you, when you are wronged by them, you are silent. And then that's not going to go well. So you have to, especially when they point their fingers at you and when they say something about you, count 5 Mississippi and start to think of what you can respond, not to react. That's the most important thing. Don't react. When you react, it's going to be explosive. When you respond with the reason, and you sound more reasonable, and people will treat you more seriously. And there's a difference. Anyway, one more thing is with your parents, with your family members, if you do get together from time to time, and sometimes they joke around and make you unhappy, with them, you can just simply ignore them. And silence will definitely be your best friend. What you can do is whatever they say, you don't respond at all. You don't react at all. They'll be like, hey, you don't say anything here. And then you can think, about your response to their answers. You could be, oh, I didn't understand why you say that. Or can you explain a little bit more? Why did you say that? What kind of things make you think I was that kind of person? Or why do you want to know my salary? Why do you want my grades? Those kind of things. Ask serious and reasonable questions back and make them uncomfortable, make them feel awkward at that moment. But that's because you take advantage of the silence to think carefully what you want to say instead of reacting to every single thing they say to you. Because again, if you react, it's going to be an explosion there. You don't want an explosion because you still have to maintain a certain kind of relationship. So that's what I want to say about this topic. Power of silence. And don't forget to count 5. And one more thing. One more thing is, if you are an impulsive person is often saying something ridiculous and then after that you regret immediately, 5 seconds. 5 seconds. If someone says something you want to comment, someone says something you want to snap back, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Deep breath and then do it. This is what I learned from a TV show called Matlock. And Sarah, often says something ridiculous. And then her boss, Olivia, says, hey, every time you say something, count 5 seconds before you say it. And I tried it. It really works wonders. So I want you guys to try it too. If you're like me, sometimes I often say something ridiculous and then you regret. This will be a good technique. Anyway, so that's everything. Hope to see you soon. Summer is coming, and I hope you enjoy the hot summer, but still stay safe. And see you next time. Stay tuned. Bye.